This week I spoke to two different clients with two different trademark ownership questions. And I want to cover some trademark ownership issues as it relates to whether you need a LLC or corporation to file your trademark application. For example, when talking to a new client, such as earlier this week, they often will say, we just came up with the business idea, we just come up with this great brand name, we want to take the steps to protect it, but we're not yet incorporated. Do we have to incorporate before we can file with the USPTO? The answer is no, you don't have to have a corporation or LLC to apply with the USPTO. An individual can own a trademark, partners or a partnership can own a trademark. However, I will say if you are about to incorporate, then I always recommend that the client, the new applicant, does incorporate quickly and then file the trademark in the name of the LLC or corporation, because ideally long term, it's better for the trademark to be owned by the business entity and to keep all of the legal protections and all of the assets in the business entity's name. However, if you're filing and you don't yet have a corporation or LLC and you're not planning on getting to that piece of the business for another couple weeks, another couple months, then I would recommend go ahead, file the application now individually, and the ownership can always be transferred later on during the process. Another ownership piece, I told you I had two client stories this week. Another ownership piece comes from when a client changes the name of the corporation or LLC or changes the state that it's registered in and incorporated with. Those changes, while they're not necessarily a big deal and they're not necessarily difficult to file with the state, if you have a trademark that's listed and owned by a particular entity, it's important to make sure that you update the USPTO records to reflect any changes to the ownership. And it's not just as simple as changing the name of the corporation. There generally are transactions that need to be recorded that document and demonstrate the change in the corporation's name or the transfer of ownership, handing it from one corporation to another, or the documentation from the state changing, for example, from a Florida LLC to a New York LLC. These things need to be properly filed and documented with the USPTO. They're not terribly complicated, but they need to be done properly. Otherwise, here's the real important part. If this ownership piece is done wrong at the outset or along the way, it can make the trademark, even a registered trademark, potentially null and void. And the money will be lost, the time will be lost, the protection will be lost, and none of those are good scenarios. So make sure that you're, in my opinion, working with a trademark attorney to prepare and file your trademark application, and make sure that you understand the ramifications regarding the ownership. If you have questions about your trademark ownership, contact me. Find me on the top of the erikpelton.com website. You'll see in the top right corner the Connect with Us button, and I'll look forward to hearing from you.